When you think about the holidays, what comes to mind? Probably twinkling lights, right? Festive music, the warmth of being with family. It's supposed to be the most wonderful time of the year. But as we're about to see, there's a darker side to it all. A side where the pressure to celebrate, to buy, and to be with family can push people to their absolute limits, sometimes with truly tragic results. So let's just dive right in because this is the big question we're tackling today. Why does this happen? Are all these horrible events just random, isolated tragedies? Or is there something about the holidays themselves? The intense emotions, the financial stress, the forced family reunions that creates a kind of perfect storm for disaster. Let's take a look at the patterns. And we're going to start with maybe the most public and, let's be honest, chaotic holiday ritual there is: shopping. Black Friday, especially, has become this symbol of consumer culture at its most extreme, where the hunt for a bargain can turn shockingly and sometimes fatally violent. To really get a feel for this pressure, just try to picture this scene. It is 4 a.m. on Black Friday back in 2008. You're outside a Walmart in Valley Stream, New York, and you're not alone. A crowd of 2,000 people has been waiting for hours in the freezing cold, literally pressing against the glass doors, all of them laser focused on those doorbuster deals inside. So yeah, the atmosphere is less festive and a whole lot more frantic. As opening time got closer, that pressure just became too much. The doors actually shattered, and that wave of 2,000 people just poured inside. In the chaos, a temporary worker named Jadimatai Damore, a big guy, 6'5", 270 pounds, was knocked to the ground and trampled to death. And here's the truly disturbing part. Many shoppers didn't even stop. They kept rushing for deals, and some were even heard complaining when the police finally showed up and tried to close the store. And this horror wasn't just in that one store. No way. On the very same day, 3,000 miles away on the West Coast, a fight between two women in a packed Toys R Us just escalated until their male companions pulled out handguns. It ended with two men shot dead on the floor of a toy store, surrounded by families just trying to do their Christmas shopping. And the things that trigger this kind of holiday rage can be shockingly small. I mean, get this. In Reno, Nevada, back in 2016, two groups of shoppers showed up at a Walmart on Thanksgiving evening. An argument started over who saw a parking space first. It escalated and ended with guns drawn. A 33-year-old man was shot and killed. The whole dispute was over a parking spot. The cost was a human life. This reveals a kind of chilling indifference that can take hold of people. In 2011, at a Target in West Virginia, a 61-year-old man named Walter Vance had a heart attack and collapsed in an aisle. As he was lying there dying, multiple witnesses said they saw other shoppers literally step over his body to keep hunting for bargains. For several critical minutes, a dying man wasn't a person in need of help. He was just an obstacle. But the chaos, it isn't just confined to the crowds in the stores. The holidays also force us into another kind of pressure cooker: the family gathering. And for a lot of people, this is a time of immense stress, where old resentments and unspoken arguments can suddenly erupt into absolutely unthinkable violence. I mean, this case is just a horrifying blend of the festive and the fatal. On Christmas Eve, a man named Bruce Pardo used the ultimate symbol of holiday cheer, a Santa suit, as his disguise. He showed up at his ex-wife's family party, shot a child who answered the door, and then just systematically murdered 9 family members before burning the entire house down with a homemade flamethrower. And this kind of family tragedy isn't unique to Christmas. Thanksgiving has its own really dark history. You see these cold, premeditated attacks, like the man in Florida who sang Christmas carols with his family right before shooting 4 of them. Then you see the simmering rage, like the youth pastor who murdered 3 people just because he was angry about having house guests. And then you see this sudden explosive violence over the smallest things, like a sister stabbing her brother with a serving fork because of a comment about the food. And sometimes the holiday becomes the setting for a trap. In 2012, a man named Byron David Smith was fed up with break-ins at his home. So on Thanksgiving, he made his house in Minnesota look empty.
Then he just waited in his basement with a rifle and an audio recorder. After he shot two teenage intruders, his own recording captured him taunting them before firing the final fatal shots. He went so far beyond self-defense, and his own words proved it.
But, it's not always about malice or rage. Sometimes the very things we do to celebrate, the parades, the parties, the fireworks, they introduce their own unique and devastating dangers. The pursuit of holiday joy can itself become a hazard.
Just look at the range of tragedies that happen at Christmas parades. In Waukesha, it was a deliberate, horrific attack with a vehicle. In Raleigh, it was a simple mechanical failure that led to a truck killing an 11-year-old dancer. And in Bluffton, a 5-year-old boy simply fell from a float. 3 totally different causes: malice, malfunction, and a simple accident, all ending in the exact same holiday heartbreak. And these dangers are everywhere. Sleep-deprived shoppers fall asleep at the wheel after pulling an all-nighter for deals. Illegal fireworks displays turn into deadly explosions. People just trying to stay warm on a cold holiday night die from faulty heaters, or, in one unbelievable case, from carbon monoxide poisoning after bringing a generator inside a cabin for warmth. The very things we do to make the holiday special can be what make them fatal.
So, after looking at all these different stories, we have to come back to that main question. Why? What is it about this specific time of year that seems to create such fertile ground for tragedy? Well, what all this really seems to point to is this one crucial idea. It's not that the holidays create these problems out of thin air. Instead, they act like a massive amplifier, a pressure cooker. All the financial worries feel heavier, family feuds feel way more intense, and that cultural expectation to have a perfect, happy holiday just adds this unbearable weight. And for some people, that pressure becomes too much to handle. And we've seen that this pressure boils over across a whole spectrum of human failure, right? On one end, you have that cold, calculated malice of the Covina massacre. In the middle, you get that impulsive, explosive rage of a fight over a toy or a parking spot. And then on the other end, there's that chilling negligence and just total indifference of stepping over a dying man to grab a deal. The darkness really does take many forms. So, it leaves us with one last, pretty sobering question to think about. Are these stories just sensational, unfortunate one-offs? Or are they the inevitable, tragic symptoms of a culture that puts so much pressure on just a few days of the year that we actually risk losing sight of our own humanity in the process? It's something to think about as we all navigate the pressures of our own holiday seasons.